It's another longer filler arc. This took me like 20 hours to edit. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. Naruto thinks he's heading out on a huge S-rank mission, but Tsunade is really sneaking him away from the Akatsuki. Before the trip can even start though, the whole port is frozen by a giant marlin that's been attacking ships for 15 years. Guy and Aoba check it out, meet a fisherman named Yusuke, and the mission suddenly turns into revenge fishing with ninja support. Yamato builds a wooden boat, Guy rows like an absolute maniac, and Yusuke finally defeats the monster that killed his father. But the twist is that the marlin was actually a summon stuck in pain the whole time. Naruto pulls a Fuma Shuriken from its head, the marlin finally disappears, and the voyage can begin. Naruto's secret boat trip gets interrupted by the real enemy of the arc, seasickness. The group stops at an island to recover and by pure coincidence runs into Sakura, Ino, and Choji, who are there gathering medical herbs for the coming war. The problem is another group of ninja from Benisu Island has already taken almost everything, planning to sell the herbs to raise money for their village. Things get tense in a cave, but Naruto ends up saving those same ninja instead of holding a grudge. That act of kindness flips the whole situation, and the Benisu group gives half their herbs to Konoha out of gratitude. So this episode is basically war prep, island politics, and Naruto accidentally winning people over again just by being Naruto. The trip to the Land of Lightning gets way creepier when Naruto's group sails straight into a wall of fog, and Yamato decides that this is the perfect time to tell ghost stories, which is already a terrible sign. He talks about a ghost ship that appears in thick mist, surrounded by crows, and literally seconds later, that exact ship shows up beside them. Naruto, Yamato, and Aoba board it, where Naruto meets a lonely boy named Hishaku, who says a monster called the giant corpse crab wiped out the crew. Then the crab attacks for real, grabs Yamato, and turns the whole ghost story into a boss fight. Naruto defeats it with Hishaku's help, only to learn Hishaku was a ghost the whole time, stuck there out of guilt for surviving. Once the crab is gone, Hishaku and the crew can finally move on. And yes, Yamato was somehow telling the truth the entire time. Naruto's boat trip gets hijacked by pirates who want to sink the ship, loot the wreckage, and call it a day. But Yamato's quick thinking and an early sensor warning save everyone at the last second. The group hides in an underground cavern, where they find a burial ground and a journal telling the story of islanders who were wiped out by a brutal pirate named Gataro and his crew. That is all Naruto needs to hear. He immediately locks in, swears revenge for the dead, and somehow turns their impossible situation into an escape plan using the giant geyser trapping them underground. The plan works, the crew breaks free, and Gataro's gang gets completely shut down. So this episode is basically pirates, lost history, and Naruto deciding he is absolutely not letting evil win on this island. This boat trip somehow turns into a Monster Island episode when a giant bird swoops down and kidnaps Guy. Naruto's group chases it to a volcanic island where things get weirder fast. Giant animals are everywhere, Aoba spots a mysterious girl, and Guy turns out to have been abducted just to babysit the bird's chicks, which is very on brand somehow. But underneath the jokes, the island hides an abandoned lab where researchers were trying to create the ultimate summoning beast. That creature wakes up, goes completely berserk, and starts tearing through everyone with lightning attacks and genjutsu. Guy and Aoba hold it off. Yamato protects Naruto while he enters Sage Mode, and with help from the island summons and the spirit of a girl named Honoka, Naruto finishes the monster with a Rasen Shuriken and drops it straight into the lava. This episode is basically Guy trying to tell a heroic training story, only for it to turn into one long confession. Lee dreams about fighting Toby with the drunken fist, and that makes Guy remember the time he took Lee out after mastering the reverse lotus. One accidental drink later, Lee went full chaos mode and wrecked an entire restaurant with drunken kung fu energy. The next day, Guy was so embarrassed he tried to rebrand the whole thing as a secret technique called Seasickness Fist, hoping Lee would never connect the dots. Lee, of course, remembered everything and took Guy's nonsense completely seriously, because that is their bond in a nutshell. And then Naruto points out the fatal flaw. If Lee is too seasick to fight, the style is useless. But if he stops feeling sick, he can't use it anyway. Guy realizing the training made no sense might honestly be the funniest part of the episode. Just when the boat trip couldn't get any weirder, Naruto buys a random mushroom at port, and it turns out to be a complete disaster. Once they enter the Sea Route of Silence, where there's no fish, no wind, and no easy escape, that mushroom starts multiplying like crazy, drains Yamato's chakra, and devours all the ship's food and water. Starving and desperate, Naruto and Guy actually eat the things, immediately get poisoned, and end up fighting each other in total delirium. After coughing the mushrooms back up, Naruto calls in Toad back up for emergency food, because of course that is somehow the solution. Then the merchant who sold the mushrooms sneaks aboard to loot the ship, only for the whole plan to blow up in his face when Konoha wakes up and sends him drifting back with the cursed mushrooms. After surviving a brutal storm, Naruto suddenly gets betrayed by the last people you'd expect, his own shadow clones. 4 of them rebel, take over the ship, kidnap him, and force the crew onto an island. Like this filler arc has officially lost its mind. It gets even crazier when the clones are about to kill him, only for Naruto to wake up and realize the whole thing was actually a dream from one of his clones. The dream happened because that clone got dispelled after saving him, sending all its memories back at once. So underneath the weirdness, the episode is really about Naruto realizing his clones are not just disposable copies. They're carrying his pain and effort too. With the war getting closer, Shikamaru is starting to feel the full weight of what it means to be responsible for other people's lives. To clear his head, he and Tenten get sent to Mokuzu Island for a supply mission, where they run into Naruto's group again. But once they set sail, the ocean turns into a trap. Thick fog, reefs, giant rocks, and whirlpools keep repeating like they're stuck in a loop. Shikamaru figures out they've been sailing in circles the whole time, and instead of avoiding the danger, he tells everyone to head straight into it. That gamble works. After they fake a shipwreck and hide the real ship inside one of Tenten's scrolls, the criminals waiting to loot the wreckage walk right into their trap and get taken down. While the war gets closer, this episode slows down and lets a few emotions breathe. Neji is appointed commander of the Hyuga on the front lines, which surprises a lot of people, and Hinata ends up reflecting on how far he's come and how much he shaped her too. After hearing that some of the others have already seen Natpo since he left the village, she gets her hopes up that maybe Tsunade is sending her on a mission to meet him, only to get let down. From there, it turns into a quieter night with the Konoha girls, later matched by the guys doing their own version at the exact same place, because of course they are. Everyone ends up reminiscing about Naruto, the Chunin exams, and how much has changed since those early days. It's mostly a calm, nostalgic setup episode, but Hinata's feelings land the hardest. On the way through the land of water, Naruto runs into the funniest kind of problem. A fake Naruto. This guy and his partner had been pulling a scam where he pretends to be the famous hero of Konoha, then stages his own defeat so they can build hype, money, and a war-era reputation. It works right up until the real Naruto shows up and shuts the whole act down instantly. But then things get a little more serious when mercenary ninja target the imposter, thinking he's a real missing nin with a bounty on his head. Naruto's group is supposed to keep moving, but they hang back just long enough to see whether the faker will do anything brave when it actually matters. He does. Naruto helps finish the fight, and the group moves on. While everyone prepares for war, Konohamaru is busy trying to prove he's ready for the front lines too. He shows off a new fire style move, gets stuck doing boring supply work, and immediately decides he wants something way more important. After Shikamaru asks him who the king he needs to protect really is, Konohamaru still charges ahead and even challenges Tamari, introducing himself as Naruto's favorite pupil. That goes about as badly as you'd expect, until he suddenly pulls out a Rasengan and actually shocks her. In the end, Konohamaru realizes being a shinobi is not just about rushing into battle. It's about protecting the people in the village who can't protect themselves. Naruto stops at Nadeshiko village and immediately gets dragged into one of the weirdest promises Jiraiya ever left behind, a duel that could end in marriage. Shizuka, the village leader, is bound by an old rule that says she must marry any man who defeats her, but Naruto is not here for that at all. They fight, he outsmarts her with shadow clones, and proves he could win, then flat out says he does not want to marry her. When a creep named Kokuyo tries to control Shizuka like a puppet and force the marriage anyway, Naruto steps in and blasts him away with a Rasengan. The real heart of the episode comes after that, when Naruto explains that love should be real, even if it is one-sided, and that wanting someone's happiness matters more than getting what you want. A random ladybug on the ship makes Naruto think about that one bug guy from Konoha whose name he still cannot remember, which is already enough to tell you where this episode is going. Back in the village, Shino is telling younger students that yes, he is scared of the war, but he is not alone, and that leads into a flashback about one of his roughest missions. After getting humiliated in close combat by a bandit who mocked his insect style, Shino's pride takes a massive hit, and Kiba and Hinata basically have to drag him into training. What makes it work is that Shino stops trying to be strong alone and starts trusting his team. He comes back, throws hands, helps beat the enemy, and proves he can protect people in more ways than one. And after all that, Naruto still cannot remember his name. After Lee falls into a river during training, Tenten ends up drifting into a memory about how her whole path as a kunoichi began. As a kid, she wanted to be just like Tsunade, strong, respected, and an amazing medical ninja. But that dream hit a wall fast when she completely failed at medical training, even struggling to heal a fish, and things only got messier when her attempt at a summoning contract went nowhere. After a lot of frustration, Guy noticed something important. Tenten's real talent was not copying someone else. It was finding her own lane through weapons and space-time ninjutsu. That shift changed everything. Sai gets a rare day off and spends it wandering the village, sketching whatever catches his eye. Which sounds peaceful, until it quietly turns into an episode about how much Team 7 changed him. He meets a few kids he awkwardly tries to talk to, and little by little, two of them start reminding him of Naruto and Sakura. That pulls him into memories of their missions, their chaos, and the bond they built together, even with Sasuke gone. By the end, Sai uses the doors of a ruined house as a canvas and paints a mural of Team 7 all holding hands, including Sasuke. Ino gets annoyed at her dad, Shikamaru and Choji get dragged into the aftermath, and somehow that turns into a reminder of why Team Asamo works so well together. After the three stop some kids from fighting, they run into Kosuke, who points out that their teamwork is still something special. That brings back an old memory from when they were Genin, using the Ino Shikacho formation to save him, and then an even bigger one from the Konoha Crush, when their fathers fought with the exact same kind of perfect coordination. For a second, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji feel like they still have not surpassed the previous generation. But Shikamaru reminds them that strength is not about doing everything alone, and with the war coming, that lesson matters more than ever. Kiba hits a wall in this episode when he realizes the Academy dead last Naruto has become the village hero while he still feels stuck in place. That frustration pushes him into training, so he goes straight to Kakashi looking for help. Kakashi, being Kakashi, hands the job off to his ninja hounds, who immediately humble Kiba and Akamaru. For a moment, Kiba wants to quit, but then he ends up back at the tree where he and Naruto used to race as kids, and sees that Naruto already beat his old speed record. That lights the fire again. Kiba goes back, wins the rematch, then races to the tree and sets a new record of his own, basically reminding himself that Naruto getting stronger does not mean he has to stay behind. Back in Konoha, Kakashi gets an emergency SOS from Guy's ship and rushes out, which sounds serious until this episode turns into pure Guy and Kakashi rivalry chaos. While waiting, Guy starts reminiscing about their long history of competitions, and that already puts his brain in full rivalry mode. Then Yamato mentions a rumor about a ninja who can perfectly copy both someone's appearance and chakra, and the second Kakashi shows up, Guy immediately decides he must be a fake. So instead of welcoming help, Guy starts throwing hands, then goes after Alba and Yamato too when they back Kakashi up. The whole thing only ends when Kakashi reveals something only the real him would know from their childhood, proving his identity. And after all that, the emergency turns out to be an SOS tortoise sent by accident, so Kakashi just heads back home. While Naruto's group stops to restock, he accidentally walks into a much bigger conflict between the Hidden Stone and Hidden Mist. Chojuro is meeting Iwa messengers, but a bitter survivor named Gunryu attacks, still driven by revenge over the tragedy of Yosuga Pass. Things spiral fast. Akatsuchi gets hurt, Kurotsuchi wants payback, and it looks like one more old grudge is about to explode right in front of Naruto. But when Kurotsuchi goes for the finishing blow, Naruto literally throws himself in the way and tells them that killing Gunryu will only keep the cycle going. That finally breaks the tension. And the real twist is that the stone came to apologize, not fight. So, this episode is basically Naruto doing what he does best, stepping into someone else's hatred and forcing a path toward peace.